Hello, golf fans, and welcome back to the channel. Joe here once again for the Sports Geek, bringing you a preview and my best bets for this week's PGA Tour action. We do already have an episode live for my squad in the ISCO Championship, but in this episode, we are going to focus on the highlight event of the week, which is the Scottish Open taking place at the Renaissance Club. This is actually an event that seemingly gets stronger every single season. Of course, with the Open Championship being just 1 week away, this is a really good opportunity for the players to come over, get their hands on some links golf and some competition ahead of the final major of the season. But this is a very big event, very important, not one that they're just using as a preparation. They are going to want to get their hands on the title, and it has, of course, been won by big names in recent years with Rory McIlroy and Bobby McIntyre, to name a few. So this year we've got Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, John Rahm, and all of the rest of it set to tee up here in Scotland. So the Renaissance Club, it's a modern links style golf course, a par 70 measuring 7,282 yards. And even though this isn't your traditional sort of brutal links golf course, it still does require a lot of the same credentials. You've got quite a wide vision off the tee. You've got very sort of undulating fairways. You need to try and find the right spots on the green. You're going to need to be creative with the short stuff too. So overall, you do need a real well-rounded player and someone preferably who has had a little bit of experience to links golf. That is vital, and you will find a few players coming into this week don't really have any experience on it at all. So first of all, make sure you've got an experienced player in links, and obviously quite an all-round player from start to finish for the most part. Right, we're going to go straight on into the squad and take a look. My highlight selection of the week is actually going to be Tyrrell Hatton, available at 35 to 1. One of my favorite players on either tour. And when his game is in full flow, I think he is nearly as good as anybody. He's actually on my radar for next week Open already, but I actually think he's a really good course fit for next week and this week. So it comes no surprise to my followers that Tyrrell Hatton has made my squad this week. He's got a really good iron play, really good driver. I've mentioned before, when he's hitting the ball well, he has his driver on a string. His irons are absolutely superb. He's a really good ball striker, and he just uses a very small fade. It's ever so consistent, and that's what enables him to play well at such a big variety of golf courses. When you take a look at his resume, he's won at Wentworth, he's won at St Andrews, Bay Hill, Emirates Golf Club, he's won at Valderrama. All really demanding, tough golf courses that reward quality ball striking. Patience, course management is pretty much there for Tyrrell Hatton. I know he does have these head losses, but most of the time, providing he doesn't make back-to-back bogeys, he does channel it in the right direction. Of course, it is a little bit of a concern, but if we're looking at the golf course to golf game fit, I think Tyrrell Hatton comes here with a really big chance. If he doesn't win this week, that's not a problem. I am already going to be backing him for Birkdale. I've had my mind on him for a long time, but I do think he comes here this week in Scotland at the Renaissance Club with a really big chance at 35 to 1. Selection number 2 is going to be Viktor Hovland, available at 33 to 1, a player that is starting to rediscover his old spark. The signs have actually been there for a fair few weeks. He started off by finishing third at the RBC Canadian. He did then actually miss the cut of the US Open, not by far, and it really doesn't concern me too much based on the nature of that test. But he did remind everyone how good he was last time out by coming back to win the Travelers Championship, beating Scotty Scheffler in a playoff. And that's exactly where he belongs as well, Viktor Hovland. A couple of years ago, you must remember, he was the player that was looking most likely to challenge Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler at the top of the rankings. So it is good to see that he does have a nice return to form. I suppose the concern for me with Viktor Hovland is he is absolutely obsessed about his swing fundamentals. We actually saw it years ago with players like Nick Faldo. They become obsessed with their swings. When they got to that stage of their career where they were too focused on that, they forgot how to win events. But Viktor Hovland does look like he's coming back in the right direction. He's very similar to Tyrrell Hatton in the sense of how they play the game. They both hit a consistent fade. They don't often hit draws whatsoever. And the same with Viktor as it is with Tyrrell. They've got a really small fade with their irons. And I think that is an ideal pattern for this golf club. So selection number 1 is Tyrrell Hatton. We then have Viktor Hovland next best at 33 to 1. The final 2 selections are much bigger prices. The first one is Ryan Fox at 125 to 1. Definitely a man for the big occasion, and one that I have already put up anti-post for the Open Championship. But his resume is absolutely outstanding. And when you look at the variety of courses that he's won at, it just shows that his game is awesome when it clicks and just shows he is pure class. He's won the RBC Canadian. He's won the BMW at Wentworth. He's actually won the Ras Al Khaimah. He's won the Alfred Dunhill Links Championship, which is obviously hugely correlated for this week across St Andrews, Carnoustie, and Kings Barnes. And that alone tells you that he's got the toolkit to win at any type of course. It doesn't really matter. I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if Ryan Fox contended next week at the Open Championship. He is that sort of caliber player on his day. I could see him finishing his career and you sort of saying, yeah, he did manage to win a major, and I wouldn't put it past him. I really do think Ryan Fox is a class act. And when you look at these sort of tournaments where you've got real tough golf courses, I think it's important to try and find a player against the golf course, not player versus player. And I think this course sets up really well for Ryan Fox. He can definitely post a good number around here. I think he's a genuine contender at a very big price. Then finally, at 200 to 1, Haotong Li is the final member of my squad this week. Again, he is an anti-post selection for next week Open Championship as well. But I think there's a strong case to be made for him this week at the Renaissance Club too, because on paper, he doesn't actually scream like a natural perfect fit for links golf, but he is one of those players that seemingly consistently outperforms his raw attributes suggest he should be able to actually do. If anything, the profile that he has is slightly contradictory. You'll see a lot of people say that low ball flights are good for links golf. It's a bit of a myth, really, to be honest. You don't want anyone going around there just slinging stingers around it. People just say, obviously, that's a way of keeping the ball out of the wind, but it's not really how you get a good score together. But Haotong Li has had some really big finishes in the big events. He's had a top 15 at the US Open. He's had a top 5 at the Open twice, and he has also contended at the PGA Championship too. So those aren't accidents. You don't get that many good finishes in the majors without being a real class competitor. He's a genuine contender this week. I think if he starts well, resilient, he's shown that he can handle it when he plays up with it. Plays up there with the best players in the game. And even though his tee to green game is awesome, if you do want to know the one negative, his putting can be a little bit streaky. But from tee to green, he is awesome. And this isn't really a place where you need to be holding putts left, right, and centre. You do just need to be a pretty good lag putter and make sure you're making the 3, 4, and 5 footers at the end of the day. So I think that Haotong Li strikes the ball well enough to put together a number around this golf course. And at 200 to 1, I think he is a really good contender. So there's the 4 selections for you this week. Tyrrell Hatton, Viktor Hovland, Ryan Fox, and Haotong Li. Hopefully give us a really good run for our money. This episode is short and sweet. We had a power cut here earlier, so I've jumped on now to get the episode done. But make sure you check in back here on the Sports Geek. Drop us a follow. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, because next week I do have all of my Open Championship content coming out, and we have been on a huge run in the majors so far this year. 250 to 1 places and a 100 to 1 winner, and I've got a long list coming for you real soon. So thanks again everyone that's tuned in. Gamble responsibly, and I'll see you all real soon.